Hey there, everybody. Welcome to this very special episode of the Higher Ed Geek podcast. So we're closing out this season and closing out the first full year of the podcast. We did a couple episodes at the end of 2017, but it was premiered November 1st, 2017. So we're just about at that 1 year mark. 2018 really pushed out a lot of content in this calendar year. So just kind of reflecting back on that process and looking ahead to the future. So we'll kind of do that two-parter there, one in the past, one in the future. But just overall, I've been podcasting for nearly 5 years. Launched the Student Affairs Spectacular podcast in the spring of 2014. And it's just been a part of my life in differing capacities. I took a bit of a hiatus after I closed out this Student Affairs Spectacular. And I just really enjoy the medium, enjoy podcasting. But it's just kind of got me at a point where I think I'm going to take a little bit of a break again here and just figure out what I want to do with the show and figure out just sort of where I fit into the greater higher ed podcasting community. Reflecting back on the first year of this show, it's been really exciting just to kind of continue with the similar format of what I was doing before. So it feels very familiar, but also just reaching out to some really cool, different people that aren't working in higher ed. So people like Selenity, one of my favorite Twitch streamers. Really great to talk to her. Tony Kim, working on kind of geek fashion stuff, and some of my good higher ed friends as well, but talking to them about different things. So really just enjoyed the process of the show. It's been nice kind of doing my own thing and growing something that's also kind of hard sometimes. And, the audience did not necessarily just kind of transfer right over. I don't have the reach necessarily of a big organization like the Student Affairs Collective. And with that kind of winding down, it really was kind of me out on my own trying to promote this and grow it. And it definitely, seeing growth over time. So, that it's just a very different process versus being a part of something a little bit more established. So I know it's been really nice growing into our show and getting into the Connect.edu podcast network so we can kind of grow together as a bunch of podcast producers in higher ed. So that's definitely something I'll be exploring a little bit more in the futures episode. I'm just really glad and kind of satisfied and kind of proud of what we've been able to do with the Higher Ed Geek podcast, and it helps me to kind of further distinguish myself and the blog and all that. So really just looking forward to continuing it. Just within this past year, my life has definitely changed a lot. So that's kind of why I'm kind of reflecting and looking ahead and just figuring out what everything looks like put together. So since November of 2017, that was shortly after I got married, a couple of months. I got married in June of that year. I had just gotten a dog, and if you haven't heard, there's kind of a funny story with that. So we adopted a dog from our local shelter, and that was weeks before I had premiered this show. But unbeknownst to me and my wife, the dog was pregnant. So nobody really knew. It was kind of a lot of plausible deniability all around. And we figured it out eventually as we took her to the vet to get some x-rays because she was just acting weird, and her belly was kind of distending. So we kind of figured it out, wanted it confirmed. It was definitely happening. And that night, after we came home from the vet, she gave birth to her litter of puppies. So that was a really unique experience for me and my wife. Thankfully, we had my wife's mom there who has some experience with that, but we just kind of were surprisingly in charge of taking care of a little litter of puppies. So we weaned them over several weeks, really kind of disrupted our holiday plans, which was kind of tough, but got the puppies in a good place. They all got adopted in great homes. So I'm really proud again of just kind of being able to do that for them and get them in a good place, and really kind of forged a deep bond with our dogs. Now we just have the one, and she's great. Her name's Chelsea. She's older. We kind of call her our sweet little old mama, but she's a great snuggler and just really nice energy in our home, and helps us to kind of be able to get out of our own heads and take care of something. But that was a big thing that happened. And I'd been continuing my job at 2U until recently, which is also kind of just, a big change and transition. So it's causing me to kind of reevaluate some things. So in August of this year, I joined the team at Noodle Partners to be a student affairs lead with them. So that's been just a couple of months now as the recording of this episode, and really enjoying it, working remotely and still continuing to support student success in digital education, online programs, that sort of thing. So yeah, just kind of figuring out now that I have a little bit more kind of space in my life, what am I filling that space with? And so some of what that has been over the past year has been expanding my involvement with higher ed podcasting, Connect EDU being one of those things, but also editing some other folks' shows, and just kind of consulting, helping people launch their shows. So that's been a really enjoyable experience, and just figuring out what else I can do there that's kind of sustainable for me and just kind of enjoyable, or what seems useful and helpful. But I think Connect EDU really factors into that. So I think that'll be a big part of what I'm spending my time on as I have kind of the hiatus here from my own show. So those are kind of things that have happened over the past year. But definitely trying to travel more, meet with more ed tech folks, and just figure out again where, I put value in terms of my free time. I've been really enjoying being able to watch more of my shows and movies and go out and experience Baltimore, which is actually another thing. I moved, I just forgot about that, moved during this past year. So now living full time in the city of Baltimore. So that kind of took effect in February of this year, which has been really exciting. So I've been really enjoying exploring more of the city here, just spending time with my wife, spending time with my dog, and playing video games and just not having to do anything and not kind of stuffing my life to the brim. So yeah, it's just been a really kind of whirlwind of a past year. Some things kind of surprising, some things planned, some things that just are starting to take up time, and just doing a lot of reflecting. Very grateful for all the opportunities that I've had for travel and for this new job, and to have a healthy dog and healthy family, and spend time with a lot of people and go to a lot of weddings and all those sort of things. So it's been definitely quite the year, and I'm excited for what the future does hold. And I'll expand a little bit more on that in the next episode that I'll release next week. And just appreciate everyone's support this past year. Definitely continue listening through the whole library if you haven't, sharing out the show, rating it, and all that, and just letting me know any ideas that you might have in terms of different formats for the show, or different people to talk to, any of those sort of things. Always appreciate it. But just appreciate you listening, and just have a great rest of your day. This podcast is part of the Connect EDU podcast network, bringing together diverse voices in the higher ed community. Check us out on Twitter at ConnectEDUPod or at connectedu.network. Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Higher Ed Geek podcast.